Good morning, class. This is Dr. Mike, your instructor for IT 140, Intro to Python Programming, and today I want to talk about how to add an item to a list. Specifically, this will be a list that will be useful in your game related to the items that the player picks up as they move through the rooms in your game, which you can then add to your player's inventory. So this is useful in Module 6 because in Module 6 in Zybooks we cover lists and dictionaries, as you see here. So lists are described in section 6.1, and when we get to that point I encourage you to review that section of Zybooks and go through all the material. Having done that, you will then wonder, well, how can I create a list for my game? And that's pretty simple. So let's talk about that. I have PyCharm open here. I created a file with I wrote some code in it. This is related to Module 6, lists and dictionaries. I'm going to demonstrate how to check the content of a list and then add items to a list. So I declare a variable, which I call inventory. This is a list object. And I'm going to add another variable called action. This currently is blank, but it will hold the player's move. And it's pretty simple. Right now I set it to nothing, it's empty. And when we get to this point, I have a while loop. And the while loop, which is this chunk of code right here, the way it works is while the player's action is not equal to the string exit, okay, so while they haven't decided to exit the game, I'm going to go inside and do some work in this loop. Once they enter the string exit, we're going to break out of this while loop and we end our game right here. So what happens inside this while loop? And if you wonder where this character comes from, PyCharm in its latest version will take the following. If you had not equals is really a combination of the exclamation point and the equal sign. When you combine them in PyCharm, it gives us this symbol. So just remember, while action is not equal to the string exit, we work inside this loop. And in this loop, I first print out the content of my variable inventory. I then prompt the user for an action, enter item to add, or type exit to exit. I then convert that to lowercase, and I strip off any leading and trailing white space characters. I then print out their action, and if they entered exit, remember this has been turned to lowercase and stripped of all leading and trailing white space characters. If this is the result, we break out of this while loop, which would take us here and end the program. Else, if the item is in the inventory, and this is how you can check for that, else if whatever they entered here after it was lowercased and stripped of white space characters at the beginning or end, is if that string is in the inventory, then we say, hey, this thing is already in your inventory. Else, it's not in our inventory, so we add it. And this is how you add to a list. You call the append function. What do we append? We append whatever it is they entered after we cleaned it up, lowercased and stripped it of superfluous leading and trailing white space characters. So let's run through this and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and run this program. And all right, our current inventory, so here we are. Your current inventory is blah, and it prints it out. It's just an empty list for now. It's prompting me to enter an item to add. Let's try exit, see what happens. Okay, as expected, we exit the loop. Not a problem. At least that part's running. Good. Let's rerun the program and this time add something useful. Okay, we're back in our loop. I just clicked this to restart the program. To rerun it, you could also click Run in the PyChart menu to restart your program. Let's add something. Let's add a sword. All right, so what happens here? It said you entered whatever, and I entered the sword. Awesome. And then this did not happen because the sword was not in our inventory. So it added the item, and you can tell. You entered sword, and now we're back at the top, and it's prompting me for action again. Back to the top of the loop, right? So it passed through this, it showed me my inventory, there's the sword, and now it's prompting me for another action. Cool. Let's add sword again and see what happens. Remember, we should get this. The sword is already in our inventory. Lo and behold, the sword is already in our inventory. How do we know? Because we checked. Else if the action is in the inventory, if whatever it was they entered was already in the inventory, then we will get a message. The thing is already in our inventory. And there it is. So then the else is ignored because we entered this portion of the if-else loop. And we're back up here. It printed out my inventory, and it's prompting me for an action. All right, let's add water. There we go. Our inventory is growing. Let's see what else would be useful in a dungeon. Rope. Look at that, being added. If we try rope again, we'll be warned. It's already in our inventory. It goes back and shows what we have. Perfect. And let's add one more item. Let's say a lantern. Awesome. Inventory management. Pretty simple with lists in Python. We're done. Hope this helps you. If you have any questions, reach out to me in class. And good luck with your inventory management for your game. Have a great day. Bye.